Okay, welcome back for e-learning of the service learning course 2. So you already have learned about the definition of the service learnings and the form of a different service learning project, direct, indirect, advocacy, and community-based learnings. So today I will bring you to another concept. It's called experiential learning circles. So the unique outline here will be what is the experiential learning circle? What is the reflections? The importance of the reflection in the service learning is relate to your assessments. The GIF model reflective cycle, writing for the depth reflection, depth of the reflections, and summary. So again, we review the definition of the service learning. Service learning is the experiential learning pedagogy. It will have the meaningful community service. It will link to academic study and reflect to enrich student learning experience. It tries to achieve the intended learning outcomes, and also very important is to enhance student sense of civic responsibilities. So again, please check again with your project, service project, to see whether you achieve some of these factors in the definitions, and contact to your lecturer for more information. By now, you already realize that service learning is quite different from the conventional teaching and learning methods, such as the lecture and seminar. So we always say that service learning is experiential learning. So unlike conventional teaching, which normally take place in the classroom and lab, experiential learning immerses students in the experience that has been designed intentionally to reinforce the learning outcomes. Under this approach, students are expected to learn by doing. So what does it mean by learn by doing? Or what does it mean by experiential learning circle? Please join me for a very short video clip for you to understand it.
The most natural and powerful form of learning is through experience, or more precisely, through reflection on doing. Also called experiential learning, it's what prima ballerinas do after their performance at the National Opera. But it also happens to boys that are sad because their father got angry when they played football in the living room. By the age of 1, we all had our own painful encounter with experiential learning when we tried to walk, failed, fell, and cried like, well, a baby. And even though this was an unpleasant and discouraging exercise that lasted for months, in the end, we all made it. How is that possible? As soon as we fell and the first shock was over, our brain unconsciously began to make sense out of all the information available to identify how this embarrassment occurred. It remembers that when we pushed ourselves up, everything was fine. Our feet on the floor, our arms in position, and our head and shoulders upright, ready to go. When our upper leg muscles pulled our left foot 12.3% to the front at an angle of 23 degrees, our arms didn't complement the movement, and the ventricles in the inner ear, responsible for static balance, got confused for a second. When at the same moment the cat ran by, our eyes sent an alarming signal to the hippocampus, and we completely lost it. Ouch. Unconsciously, this is how our brain analyzes the relationship of events within our body or in the environment. It happens all the time as we learn to walk, talk, kiss, function in a fancy office, or dance the salsa. Once we understand the connections between what went wrong, we know what we need to change when we try the next time. Experiential learning can also be used explicitly to learn a new skill or to become better at what we already love doing. Here is how it works. First, get yourself into a situation to experience. After, reflect on what happened. Then, try to understand the relationships to form an abstract concept. If I do A, I get B. Last, decide what to do differently next time. then do it again. Experiential learning is also believed to be responsible for the fact that musicians generally fare better at most tests, regardless of what they measure. People that practice an instrument not only engage their brain in motor, visual, and auditory areas, but they also learn by reflecting on what they're doing with a fast feedback loop. A wrong tone on the violin sounds too terrible to remain unnoticed. While playing, they therefore not only learn to make music, but also that progress in general comes through practice, reflection, understanding, and repetition. You can use it with your friends or colleagues when working on a project. Silicon Valley startups do it when they tell their developers to get out of the building. After the interaction with real potential customers, the team gets together, analyzes the feedback, and decides what to do next. Tell us, what do you think? Is learning through reflecting on doing only good when acquiring new hands-on skills? Or is it also suitable to study science, math, the humanities, or abstract art?
All right, so that's the video clip that I want you to watch. So as you can see from the video clip, that not everything that we know how to do at the first time. So sometimes we need to do it, and then through the experience, then we stop, and then we analyze, and then we develop a new learning, new knowledge, and new skill. A new skill, and then we repeat again with a better understanding and better approach. So that is the experiential learning circle in short. So a lot of things are happening to you in the world is called experience, but the experience is not necessarily educative. So if you are fail and then you don't really leave some time to think of, or don't really to analyze why you are failing or why you success, there might not be the education, there might not be the lesson for you. So we do not learn from doing, we learn from thinking about what we're doing. And learning is a process of whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So and that is about the service learning. That is about the experiential learning circle. You will work in the team, you work with the community partner, you develop the projects, you deliver the project in the first day, and then after that, your team will meet up and do the reflections to think of the experience that the entire team has encountered. And then from that, you individual and as a team will have a different conclusion and different learning. So it is a process. So then the how we can make the reflection process is more effective. So there is always the model for you to try. So for COP, it's a experiential learning circle. These are 4 stages of turning the experience into the lessons. So the first phase is, of course, is a concrete experience. It means that you did some activity, you had some activity, and then you do have the experience. Either it's fail or it's sad, either it's happy or it's sad. It's a concrete experience. And after that, you leave some time, you spend some time individually or as a group to do the reflective, some of the observations that you have during the experience, during the activity. It means that you review it, you reflect it on the experience. Why you feel that way? Why you feel sad? Why the other member did not cooperate well? Why the beneficiary is not happy of what you are doing? So these are the observation, record the observations. And after that, you move to another phase, is the abstract, the conceptualization. It means that you will conclude of the experience. One of the members felt upset because maybe she has a bad experience from last time that you already haven't checked. And that is remind you that you need to check, to have some activity to check to check in to see whether is anyone have any feeling before the service activity, or is anyone have the bad experience in last time, and how we can help them to overcome that. Beneficiary not happy because some of the language or some of the work that you do, you deliver is quite very sensitive to them. And then and you did that, you say to you use the word with the intention to harm anyone, but then you realize, okay, there's a lesson I learned. If I work with these beneficiary, these are the words that I should not use. So after that, you will do active experimentation. It means that for next day or for the next day of the service, you will try out what you have learned to improve the quality. And then you repeat again of the circle, concrete experience. All right. So state number 1 is a concrete experience. This phase, when you go out to do the service for the beneficiary, you will be required to apply your classroom learned skill, observe how your skills are used in the real life context. And you should be sensitive to the need of the people you are serving, and be considerate to and mindful for your teammates. Keep your eye open, observe and feel about things and people around you. It's just not just focus on the service, on the lesson that you want to deliver, on the activity that you want to deliver, and totally forget about the rest of the environment. You need to keep your eye open, observe, feel people around you. Stay tuned. The phase after you finish the service activity, when you review, and then you will review and reflect upon your experience and observation. You will ask what happened, why did it happen, and how did people react. This objective phase is for you to review your experience and analyze them. During this phase, you will be expected to describe your observation either in writing or through speaking, sharing. This will help you to remember your thought, and so that you can build onto the experience next time. Most of the thing in this state, it will be stating what happened and how you feel about that, without giving any explanation yet, without giving any analysis yet. You just provide on the observations, on the activity that you have done, on the experience that you have done. Then straight 3 is about thinking. There is to think about the concrete observation that you have made, analyze them and generalize them from them. For example, so what have I learned from it? Think about the observation, conclusion that you drew from the previous phase and relate them to the theory that you have learned. You learn about the beneficiary, that you have some of the sensitive to the work, for example, deaf or any other work that you need to stay away. You identify the differences, consider issue from different point of view, and come to the conclusion. The objective of this stage is discover the meaning in the learning material and from your concrete experience, and to think how you will improve upon your performance the next time. Active experimentation is mean apply. The phase that when you apply what you have learned from the conclusion that you wrote from the active experience phase, make changes and try them out. Then if you start a new experience learning circle and another concrete experience is generated. So the key of the good service learning, the key in the good service is lying in the reflection, with the link between the serving and the learning. Reflection is the key component of the service learning that links to academic study with meaningful service to create a new learning. Reflection will help the participant to aware, realize, and recall what happened, transform external experience into their own knowledge, explore, discover many linked knowledge behind, and linking, apply, and link to other similar events in life. So what does it mean by reflection? It's a process of stepping back. It means that stay away from the activity and then to think, review, ponder carefully and persistently is a meaning to self through the development of interference. As evidence-based estimation of the source of and gap in the knowledge and practice with the intent to improve both. So here's a key takeaway. Reflection will involve the reconsideration of some past experience, concept, idea, belief, or practice based on the evidence. Reflection must be active, systematic. It means that you need to do quite often during your service learning projects. And you need to do as systematically what you want your group, your own group achieve, what you want yourself achieve. So usually it's refer to the learning outcome that you already identify as a group. And then you check on that whether we are able to achieve some learning outcome and how and why and what next for us to achieve that. What should be necessary for us to achieve that? Reflection must focus link between the idea, experience, and knowledge. You cannot develop some of the key takeaway lesson from LOS not related to the experience. For example, reflection must focus on improvement. So it's a process in which we look back, think critically about and learn from the service experience. Through reflection, we'll be able to identify and question your own underlying values and belief, why you behave like that, why you believe you are wrong, why you believe you are correct, why you believe these beneficial needs, what you want to deliver them, what else that underlie in that. Then you recognize and challenge your own assumptions, stereotypes, and bias about other people and the culture. And recognize your own strength and weakness and identify area for improvement. A lot of people when they are doing the project, when they're doing some things, then they just eager to finish it and then forget about it because they don't want to look back on their own weakness and the failure. And then that is very wrong because you cannot learn anything. And then you waste your time on doing the project. Then you are able to develop a better understanding of the applicability of the theory in the practice. And of course, it will improve your performance in the future. So when you are doing the reflection, as I mentioned, you can do it pre-service, during service, and post-service. Pre-service, you will check with your group member, is there any belief, assumption, attitude toward the beneficiary and the service activities? Is there anything that the group member want to share or want to stay out? Then we need to record that. We need to clear whether we have the same base of believing, whether we have the same base of values and attitude toward this project. When reflection during service, if you have for the personal character development, you change, you realize you are wrong, and you change, you realize that you have some of the weakness in the certain activity during the service activity. Then you understand yourself, and then you're trying to develop. You understand the social inequality, you feel for that, and then you develop your own responsibilities. You're able to learn from peers as well, that when they are sharing about what they are doing, and then they also give you a feedback for what you are doing. You're able to sharing your observation and the feedback. You're able to raise the question to your lecturer or to your project leaders. And of course, you are able to continue have a good solution for the problem that your group trying to solve. Your group is trying to solve. For the post service, you will evaluate the impact of the service, and then you acknowledge personal growth. And I believe that in these courses, you are required to do two things related to the post service. Number one is the group presentation. Number two is the individual essay, and both I require you evaluate the impact of the service and acknowledge the personal growth. But then a lot of people come to me and then say, oh, I understand that the importance of reflection, but I'm really confused and how we can do that. So the key model reflective cycle will give you better or clearer in detail of how you want to do a reflection, either group reflection or self-reflection. So the first stage is a description, what happened in here, what happened. After that, describe the feeling, why were you thinking and feeling. Then next will be evaluate what's good and bad about the experience. Then analyze it, what sense can you make from the situation, what else you can learn, what can you learn from this experience, why you crying during the project, why you are not happy during the project, what the beneficiary feel against you not follow what your step, is there anything behind of that? Is this because a lot of people come to serve the community and then leave a very bad image or the bad consequence, and then let the beneficiary not believe anymore this kind of project? Conclusion, what else could you have done? And then again, when they cannot finish at the conclusion, you need to either you want to do one more step or not. Just give it a try to have what would you do if the experience, if this experience come again, whether you still crying or you be very you are more confident to you are more calmly to do a different thing. Useful question for reflection. By asking different questions in different state, you will be able to reflect systematically on and learn from your experience. Yeah. So description, for example, I can give you here, as you can see here, what did you do? What did other people do? What did you observe? Who else were there? In what way did your team help you? Which issue were being addressed? Then feeling, how you were feeling when the event started. Evaluation, what went well, what didn't go well. Why did you plan work? How did you react to this situation? How did other people react? Analyze it. What did your client or teammate behave in the way they did? Why? Why did you behave in the way that you did? What idea or theory are you aware of which are applicable to this situation? Do this theory help you make more sense of what happened? Conclusion, how could this have been more positive experience for everyone involved? How specifically has the community benefited? How has your understanding of the community changed as a result of your participation? Action plan. If it arose again, what would you do in order to be better prepared to face the experience in the future? All right. Okay, I will stop here for the reflection.